Hi Liz, how are you?
I'm
To
great.
the seventh episode now.
Wow, 7 episodes. You guys
Yeah.
are flying.
Yeah, indeed. It is. It's seventh or sixth? Yeah, okay, it's sixth then.
I'm an artist, not a math major.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the point. Hi, how are you?
Really well. How are you?
We are doing fine. End of semester stuff, but we are doing well.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for being here, obviously.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for everything that you have done for us so far, the English classes, the academic workshops this semester, drama club. Like drama club is, if I'm gonna remember something out of this uni, it's few things, and drama club is one of them.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
For the record, I did not sponsor this podcast.
Yeah, she didn't, of course. Yeah.
Now we go to our sponsor, Drama Club.
Yeah.
Join it.
Yeah. It's not very suspicious that you are the advisor for Paradiso Club and you are a guest at Paradiso Talk.
Not even
and
at all.
you are, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Very sus. So, how are you? How's life?
Life is the end of the semester, so it's kind of, a bit of a challenge for everybody, but we're powering through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how is the academic workshops and everything? How is uni?
Seems like the students are doing the usual spring struggle. It's always hard to find a good balance at this time of year because the weather's nice.
Yeah.
So your motivation is not always in your classes after being cooped up all winter.
That's not only in the spring. Yeah.
But double down with it being picnic season.
Yeah.
That definitely doesn't help. People have family pressure, social pressure, and then academic pressure on top of it. So I think in a couple weeks we're all going to be in a better place. You guys can relax and we can relax.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, this semester has a lot of holidays jammed into it. We have Nowruz, we have Eid, we have many other things. Whereas, like, the fall, it's only, I don't know, a couple of days maybe. Like, last semester we had the elections, but that's it.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's always, like, agitate, like, your focus on the material. You would start forgetting stuff because you're always jumping back into classes and everything.
Yeah, this is actually the first year that we have had the entirety of Ramadan in the spring semester.
Mm-hmm.
And we, unfortunately, because of COVID, we didn't get the slow ease. So 2021, by the time Ramadan rolled around, we were online again. And 2020, obviously, we were online. So it wasn't like we kind of could slowly ease into it a little bit by a little bit. It was more, oh, hey, cool, we're back in person. Oh, hey, cool. We have to worry about all of Ramadan being during the school year. And we have 2 weeks holidays because we have Nowruz and we have Eid. Great. Not great.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's like one of the things that seems very effective on students right now. But since you also talked about online, like, how did that went through for you personally?
For me personally?
Yeah.
For me personally, all right, I'm going to be very honest about this one. Yeah. For me personally, it's part of the reason why I'm still at AUIS right now.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a limited contract when COVID hit.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out what my next opportunity was going to be because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to stay in APP the way I'd been teaching previously. And COVID hit, and I was the only person left in the uni who had been a Moodle trainer. So I wound up staying in order to help the other faculty members learn how to use Moodle that had never had to use it previously. So that was a bit odd. But that was the initial part where it was like, wow, okay, I'll stay, I'll do this, I'll do faculty training. Mm-hmm. And then after that, the reality of, oh no, there is literally an international pandemic in the world. That's probably not a good thing.
Yeah, and you stayed in Suli during the whole thing?
Or? I did. I was in Suli for 18 months straight.
From February?
From January 2020 until May
2021.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
a lot.
That's 15 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
just me and my dog in my apartment.
Yeah. And like, how do you think the university dealt with the situation? Like objectively, when we look at it back then.
Technically, we're still in it, so I'm not ready to have an objective reflection yet.
Yeah, but maybe if, like, not an objective one. A biased opinion about it.
A biased opinion. Looking at what AUIS did in the midst of a really, really bad emergency,
yeah.
I'm really proud of what we were able to accomplish and as rapid as we did it.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. Like, when I see how long it took others to achieve what we've done, like a bit of what we have done in a few days or a few weeks, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't get back on anything. We were right on track with the online thing, and yeah, fun times.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
The hard thing about COVID, the hard thing about any kind of really big emergency like that, is the long-term toll that it takes on people.
Yeah.
So, yes, we had an emergency situation. Yes, we dealt with that well. Now the next step has to be, how do we deal with the recovery after that as the emergency goes down?
And how do you think that's possible?
I think it's going to be a little bit different for everybody. It's different for the students. It's different for the faculty. It's different for the admin. And it's about finding what works. Not for the group, but making sure individuals know to look and say, I don't just have to power through this and go to the next thing. I should probably take a pause and make sure I'm okay before I power through the next thing, because that leads to greater success with your next attempt at something new.
Yeah. And like, we've been back this semester, and like, we've been back on campus since last semester, and since you have like interacted with many students, like, how much do you think like this whole thing affected us? Like, let's say now for the short run, because we don't know how the long run will turn out. Yeah.
Coming up with the hard questions.
Yeah. I mean, there is a point for doing it.
Yeah. So, because we live in a society where the expectation is, if something bad happens to you, oh well, something bad happens to everybody.
Yeah.
Move on to the next thing. I think that is going to be really hard for a lot of people, you guys especially as college students, because you were in a really important transition as far as where you are in your life. You were going from teenagers into young adults.
Yeah.
And having that transition be disrupted the way that it was, I think is going to be challenging. I think it could make your group a bit more compassionate later, though. Where you saw
how bad it can get.
Yeah, you really saw the ups and downs and the reality of, okay, this isn't about where I live, this is about the whole world. And bad things happened. And I think you're that little group of people that went from high school into college during that time, or from college into graduate school, could create some really important compassion that we're going to need eventually.
Yeah, and I think it's also affected like the new students and like first semester students more than it affected like older students, because like what I've seen from older students, like they've been around here, they have done almost everything at uni, and they're just waiting to get their like certificate and like go away. But like for new students, they haven't used Moodle that much, they haven't used Sonus that much, they don't know the structure of university, they don't know how to like deal with like the basic AUIS or students issues and things that we have to deal with every semester. So doing all that while you are away from like the headquarters of uni was a very bit challenging. Yeah,
I'm sure. The difference between existing students and new students during that time was our existing students, especially those who graduated during COVID, had the promise their entire time. Work hard, and this is what you'll get at the end. Work hard, and this is the celebration. Work hard, and this will be your moment. And then that moment, that promise was broken.
Yeah.
And so there's a deep sadness that kind of comes from not being able to have that celebration moment, not being able to walk down the graduation rug and get your picture, with President Bruce and have your whole family like yell and cheer and be excited for you and things like that. The work that you guys put in deserves celebration.
Yeah. Yeah, and the sad thing about they did the graduation ceremony online for 2020, I think.
For 2020 and for 21, there were online graduations. Yeah. Luckily, in fall 21, we were able to do a joint graduation in person. Still socially distant, but we did it in person. Families were allowed to come to that one, and they finally got to have that moment.
Yeah, because for the 20 or 21 version of the online thing, they had Ahmed al-Bashir. Do you know and it was really sad because they wanted to bring him here, actually to uni, and that would have been so much, because I've been watching his satire since he started, and
yeah,
that would have been really nice, for me, and of course for graduate students to meet him on their big day. That would have been very nice, but we still had him virtually.
Yeah,
that's a bit nice, but yeah, things happen. Lives move on.
And now, as you were saying, the challenge is for the newer students to make sure that we, as the employees of the uni, get you guys to the point where you feel comfortable being at uni. You know who to go to. It's not just an email. We have to put our faces out there so you know, not just, oh, hey, that's Liz, but who the heck is Liz? I don't know who that woman is. She's just the...
I wish if there was a podcast episode with Liz, so we can know who is she before going and talking to Liz. Thankfully, there will be.
Hey, hi, how you doing?
So, how do you think we as fourth semester students and older students should deal with and go with the newer students?
So let me make sure I'm understanding this correctly. How can you, as the fourth semesters, help the newer students to adjust?
Help or
mostly. Because you're fourth semesters, but your first two were during COVID.
Yeah.
You're
so
still,
we are slot two.
You're still kind of the new students too.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm going to ask you guys to read your emails from Lawan a little bit more.
Yeah, I do that, but I know many people who don't. Yeah.
So when you get those AUIS student services emails, don't just go, oh yeah, whatever, and delete.
Yeah, those
shameless plug for student services.
Those are always fun. They have the advertisement for things that are going through the week. They have a couple of discounts for AUI students. That's always nice.
And for you, as someone who is a club leader, I know that you have a lot of conversations with Lowen and other members of the student services team. When you're talking with your friends, you are a great example of, I had the motivation, I had the idea, let's start a club, let's get something going.
Yeah.
Our students are brilliant, and they come up with some really cool ideas, but because of those semester gaps, they don't always know who to go to talk and say, hey, how do I develop this idea while I'm here more? So I think as someone who's in their fourth semester that has taken the initiative to say, hey, I got an idea, how do I make this happen? I think you would be a really, really good mentor for incoming students for how to develop an idea into a club, into action, into all this work that you're doing right now. I think you're a great example of that.
I don't know, because what I've also seen with new students, we were new students once, and most of the things that we heard from older people, we just ignored it and we started doing the same thing, and also the cycle of mistakes and F-ups also reoccurred again and again. So is it a good thing to I know some people would try to benefit from that, but I also think many people would just want to go on their own and like have their own failures.
Yeah.
Instead of listening to others. Yeah. That's always nice too. So talk to us about like who is Liz? How did you get here? What happened?
He's asking the deep questions, you guys.
I mean, I have the tissues here for a reason. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, basic introduction. Hi, my name is Liz O'Sullivan. Yeah. I work at AUIS. I've been here since 2012. I am currently the Director of Academic Success and the Academic Counselor. I started in 2012 in APP, actually.
Which level?
I was teaching listening and speaking. That was before we redid the curriculum. I was teaching listening and speaking in level 2. Mm-hmm. And then I switched into reading. And then we overhauled the curriculum completely because we needed to have more of an integrated approach. So APP students were coming through and everything was compartmentalized. Grammar is only in grammar class, writing is only in writing class, reading is only in reading class, talking is only in talking class, study skills.
12 classes?
Yeah.
Oh, yep. That's a lot.
And so the feedback that we were getting from the undergraduate profs was that if you were in a lit class, that separation in APP between reading and writing and grammar wasn't really coming together well. Mm-hmm. Civ class, it wasn't coming together. There are all these courses in the core that students were getting into, but we only focused on everything separate. So we combined it into 2 classes, and that way it was more of an integrated learning approach, and it's better pedagogy
so
for what you guys
just
were.
Like reading and writing, right?
Reading and writing and the study skills that I was doing in the listening and speaking class were then incorporated into everything. Yeah. Grammar is in everything. So it's not something you learn separately. It's something that you learn through your reading and through your writing.
So instead of like only this thing, it's focused on this thing, but it also had like all the other important stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the other courses became elements of support for your main needs.
Yeah. And like, where did you go to college?
Undergraduate, I went to a little itty bitty school called St. Mary's College of Maryland. Mm-hmm. It is in the States, in the state of Maryland. Yeah. In the city of St. Mary's. It's very, very self-explanatory when you look at the name.
Yeah, it's a very irreligious place.
It is not a religious place at all.
Yeah. It's very obvious. And like, how was the experience there?
I loved it.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was a great 4 years. It was challenging, as uni is. Mm-hmm. I, like many of your classmates, went in with a goal, and this is what I'm going to do. When I grow up, I'm going to do. And then I got there in my first year, and I was like, nope.
That's not real?
Nope, that is not what I want to do. Yeah. My whole goal was I was going to go pre-med. I was going to do biology so I could get accepted into med school. Yeah. And then I was either going to pursue ear, nose, and throat so I could be an allergist, or I was going to go into psychiatry.
Oh, I'd love to say psychiatry. Yeah.
And I hadn't decided which one yet.
You're doing that kind of now.
And so instead, I switched to psychology because I didn't want to go to med school anymore because I hate, sorry, Dr. Mo, I hate classifying organisms in biology.
Yeah, same here. Same here indeed.
The rage I would feel when I had to decide if it was kingdom, species, or phylum just got to be too annoying. But then I could keep up the stuff that I really did enjoy, the neuropsychology aspect, the long-term brain development, things like that, disorders and disabilities, things like that were really cool. Educational and developmental psychology I love.
Yeah. And like you finished with psychiatry, like
so my major was in psychology. I double minored in Spanish language and literature as well as theater. So yeah, I was a little bit busy in undergrad.
Yeah. And you graduated when?
A while ago.
A while ago, indeed.
No, most of the campus knows. So we're not going to play that whole women aren't supposed to tell their real age game here. We're past that, you guys. I graduated college in 2005.
Yeah, that's not that far away.
That's not.
And like, how was the transition from Maryland to Sully?
There was a little bit of a winding path. So I graduated college in 2005. I moved to Texas because I was going to start graduate school in psychology and counseling and research in 2005, right after I graduated. As many of our students are aware, and our graduates especially are aware, education, especially graduate education in the United States, is not cheap.
Yeah.
So after my first year, I really didn't have the funding available to continue my graduate school. So I had to take a little bit of a break. I stayed in Texas. I returned to Maryland after that, and then I returned to my hometown of Philadelphia for a couple of years. And then I moved to Sully in 2012.
And like, if you have the opportunity back, would you finish like the grad school and everything?
Well, I mean, if a fairy tale creature was going to give me a bunch of money so I could finish it, then yeah, I definitely would have.
Okay.
But
I will hook you up with the fairy tale.
All right, if I can get fairy tale and a time machine, then yes, I definitely would go back and redo that.
Yeah, and like, how was Sully?
I love Sully. Obviously, I've been here for almost a decade.
Yeah.
I took a break for a little while to go to Ireland and to get my master's in theater. But that's really the only break I've had in the last 9.5 years.
And when was that?
I got that degree. I finished in 2019. Yeah, I finished my school and my thesis in August 2019. I turned in my thesis on a Thursday, and I was back in Sully by that Tuesday.
Good job.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. And like, first of all, like, how was Sully in the beginning? And I want to talk about like the degree in theater. So
okay.
Yeah.
So
how was Sully?
It's been really fun to see Sully develop the way that it has over the last 9 years.
Yeah, I have to see it for 9 years to judge.
I'm looking forward to see what happens in the next 9 years, I'll be honest. I am going to do something that people at home would hate, because people hate it when bad pictures of Philadelphia get painted. We have a bit of a reputation in the States. So one of the things I was most surprised about in Sully was in my first year, I accidentally left my cell phone in a taxi cab.
Yeah.
In my home city, you will never see that cell phone again. It will be turned off. The SIM card will be ripped out, and it will be sold before you even realize it's gone. Most places. That's just, part of life.
Yeah.
Instead, the taxi driver was like, I dropped her off at Pack City. She works at the American University. Let me figure out. And that taxi driver found me.
Yeah.
Yeah, through, calling a university, calling people on our security team, and was able to find where I was on the uni to be able to get me my phone back.
Wow. Which
was pretty amazing. Instead, that was one of my greetings to Sully, was that kindness, that generosity, and that care of a stranger who could barely even get a couple words out.
Yeah. I don't know if that things happens here a lot or other places a lot, but that's unique.
Yeah, I thought that was really special.
Yeah.
You can't leave your backpack or your handbag or anything that looks valuable unattended in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Whereas here, if you're sitting outside, you're out in Sahalaka, and you're having a cup of tea, and you're hanging out with your friends because it's a beautiful day, and somebody steps away to go take a picture or something, when you come back, your bags are going to be there.
Not all the times, but most of the times.
Yeah. Most of the time they will. Occasionally, there's always people who are a little sketchy, but culturally, I think it's really cool that the expectation isn't automatically we have to protect because we know somebody's going to steal our stuff. It's, I stepped away and, oh man, somebody did. But most of the time somebody won't. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty nice. And afterwards, so that was in your first year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was back in 2012. Yeah. It's just been, I don't know, it's been a very chill 9 years. I say that, it's not been. There have been a lot of ups and downs. If we look at the reality of what the last 9 years entailed.
Yeah.
In Sully. Yeah. So, yay for bad memories for everybody.
Yeah.
This was during Dash.
And before we talk about theater school, you were here around 2014 and the ISIS
Yep.
shebang. So
yep.
What happened?
they didn't win.
Thank God. Thank God. Yeah. And like, how's it affect? Because I wasn't here, obviously. So,
right.
like, did it affect uni as much as COVID, or like?
COVID had more of an effect
on everyone.
I feel like just in a different way. The immediate danger of both situations was very different. So for our students that were from areas that were more affected, it was really bad. We have students from a variety of places. We had students here from Mosul.
Yeah.
We had students whose families were at risk on a regular basis. We have students whose parents are involved with Peshmerga. We had students who were Peshmerga, who were in class on Tuesday and out on the lines on the weekend. It was very different than the COVID emergency because it was a different situation. You really can't compare the two.
Okay, so theater school.
Yay!
Yeah. How did that happen?
Everyone noticed that smooth transition into a less sad topic?
Yeah. Enough sadness. Let's go on.
Yeah, we've had enough of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Theater was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you personally know, I am a giant nerd.
Are you?
Small body, giant nerd.
Okay, yeah.
So it was nice to take a little bit of a break and be surrounded by other people who were just as excited about the same topic, and you're surrounded by people that make you feel, I'm not nerdy, I'm passionate.
Exactly.
And
that's my whole motto. Like, I've been dying for that.
Yeah. So that was just a really nice moment to just have other people who are just as passionate about a singular subject as you are and excited to learn about it and share ideas and bounce it off of each other. And then you get like worked up into this giant like nerd tornado, and all of a sudden you're making some really, really cool projects with everybody.
Yeah. And like, how are class? Like, is it fun, or they suck the fun out of the whole subject?
Definitely didn't suck the fun out of it. The thing about grad school, it is definitely hard.
Yeah.
But because you get to pick more of what you're interested in, it follows along with what you like. And so you don't have this prescribed, you have to learn a little bit about everything to make sure that you're ready for the next step, because you're already at the next step. You have your foundation in place. Now it's up to you to take the research you did in undergrad or in the job that you took between undergrad and your graduate time and really develop what it is that you like. So I had been here for a while. I had been doing drama club, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted my research to be in. But I knew it was time for me to go take a moment and explore that.
Yeah.
And I was able to. That was really cool.
So, yeah, okay. And I obviously seen like the play, the 12 Angry Women.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was 2015?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures. So, like, how did it go? And like, I've read about like Dubai or something like this. Or
that was a busy year. Okay. So drama was established at AUIS back in 2010.
Yeah.
Hold on, no. 2009, I believe, was the first performance. So there have been all kinds of different performances that have happened since then.
Who like was the head of drama back then?
That was a gentleman named Peter Friedrich.
Okay.
He was here for about 5 years.
Yeah.
Great guy. Hey, Peter. Maybe you'll listen to this.
Yeah.
Great guy. Really, really helpful. When I got here, he was the one who turned to me and said, "So I heard a rumor that you might have done theater when you were younger. Is that true?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Can you help me out? I need a little bit of support." And then when he left, I took over for him.
Yeah.
And the shows that we did together were part of this amazing festival that Dr. Marie Labrosse, who is the establisher, the founder of Kashkul, put together. It was called the Social Justice Festival. It was a week-long arts fest, basically, with a focus on social justice.
Yeah.
So we had a play that was written by a student and performed by either APP students or first semester undergraduates.
Okay.
So everybody in that show was early on at their time here.
Yeah.
And then we had a second show that was performed by sophomores, juniors, and seniors.
Yeah.
So the two of them were part of that. Peter left, and I kind of took over for drama. We did a couple other shows. 12 Angry Women was a workshop, actually.
Yeah, I've read it's a workshop, then it was developed into theater, and there was like Kevin Spacey somewhere. That's really fun to look up. Like, to look on nowadays. Like, Kevin Spacey out of all people.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Okay. So what happened was we did this really cool workshop, and two of the actresses in it applied for this thing. It was called the Middle Eastern Theater Academy.
Yeah, Meta.
And that was the one that was in Sharjah, actually.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just an AUIS thing. Meta was for the entire region.
Mm-hmm.
And they were taking students from specific countries. And of the students who applied, be they Kurdish, Arab, whatever, our two students were the only people from Iraq to go.
Yeah.
And they also happened to be in 12 Angry Women.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to use clips from the play that had been recorded as part of their audition material. And that was pretty cool. So they already had a little bit of a portfolio in place that made them a little bit more eligible to be able to get into the program.
And like, this is... So by then, like 2015, you are like head of drama club, right?
Yeah, I've been running drama for a couple of years at that point and teaching an APP at the same time.
And I remember like attending my something Ernest, the play.
The Importance of Being Roscoe. It was an adaptation of Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Ernest.
Yeah, and that was 2019, right?
Yep, that was 2019. We also did in 2016 a version of Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. That was the one that we did in collaboration with the British Council, and it was for an international celebration of Shakespeare called Shakespeare Lives, that the British Council was doing anywhere that they had a consul.
They did a play.
They did some kind of performance. There was a traveling play. Their goal was to get into every country they legally could and put that show on. So that was fun. And then our show was Midsummer Night's Dream, and we were able to perform it in Sully. And then we went to Hilaire and performed at the Citadel. And then we went and performed into Hook as well.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So we have 15, the 12 Angry Women. We have 16, the Shakespearean thing. Mm-hmm. We have 19, the Importance of Being Earnest. And like...
We also did a performance of Medea.
Yeah.
We did an original show called Will's Cafe. That was a mini Shakespeare thing that we had done. That was something that was collaborative between myself and the students.
Yeah.
There were the two shows that I was just talking about in 2013. One is called 9 Parts of Desire, and the other one was the student production, which was a really, really powerful look at femicide. Mm-hmm. So that's still relevant today. It was a dark comedy about forced marriage.
Yeah.
And
do we have those here?
I don't think we have any.
Yeah.
No,
I think it was like back in the days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no.
Attended.
Yeah.
So
we're still dealing with that. That issue hasn't gone away just because it's not 2013 anymore. It was a student named Mahdi Murad who wrote that, and he was generous enough with his writing that he allowed for a lot of collaboration between himself, the cast, and that way we could have a variety of inputs. We had women's perspective in it as well as the male perspective. Mm-hmm. We were able to bring a variety of ages and backgrounds into it, and I think it made for a really, really powerful show. So that one was called The Arranged, since again, it was about arranged marriage, and it was about the threat of honor killing. And to turn something that was that serious a topic into a black comedy, I think was very bold on the choice of Mehdi. and on the shoulders of Peter, since he was the one who was helping Ricky develop the script. So yeah, it's been a very interesting couple of years.
Yeah, and like for someone who hasn't been in theater that much, like how would you convey the scene there? Like it's obvious to start with the writing, but when you take over as like the director of the whole thing, so what can you give us like an insider look?
Yeah, sure. So the process of putting a play together really depends on the play that you choose.
Mm-hmm.
So the fun thing about going to school in Ireland is a country known for their writers.
Mm-hmm.
That is like one of the big things that, like Oscar Wilde, for example. Everybody thinks he's British, he's Irish. James Joyce, Irish. Seamus Heaney, Irish. Like there's a lot of really, really powerful Irish writers out there. Beckett is one of the big ones. And because of that, there's not a lot of flexibility. When your focus is on the writing, the performance shouldn't really eliminate the words because they're there on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas from working with an American author or an Eastern European author, it's going to be a little bit different. If you're working with an older script, you're free to adapt a little bit more because it's open source.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay the author to use it.
Yeah. It's the GitHub of...
Exactly. So, for instance, the play that we did, 9 Parts of Desire, the author actually came as part of the Social Justice Festival. Her name's Heather Raffo. Mm-hmm. She is an Iraqi-American woman. Her father is Arab. Her mother is a white lady from the States. Yeah. And so she actually came and did a bunch of workshops with the actresses to really discuss why certain things were written, and she approved any edits that we made for time or content. Yeah, which is really, really cool. So they got to have a first-hand conversation
with the writer,
with the author, and the director side by side.
Yeah.
So that was a really, really amazing experience that you don't get to have very often. The other side of that is, for instance, The Importance of Being Roscoe. We were able to just take that and adapt it as much as possible. Mm. That is a play written by an Irish man who was living in London at that point, making fun of London society. So we were able to kind of take it and look at the ramifications of how do you put that performance on in a different country 100 years later. Mm-hmm. And so we were able to turn it into this really cool workshop where there were members of the ensemble who were deep reading and then saying, this would be a really good example for how the audience would get it better. This is how we can throw in random Kurdish phrases. This is how we can throw in a random Arab phrase. Yeah. This is how we can point fun at certain elements of society and the way they present themselves, just like Wilde was doing. So it wasn't the words that Wilde wrote. It was the spirit of what he meant that we were able to include. So that was also really fun.
Yeah. And so you say like flexibility is like a big thing for a director of theater, especially with the script. What else?
Yeah. So flexibility is really fun. The creativity is fun. Mm. It's really fun to like hand somebody a bunch of words and for that person to then create a character. Mm. Or to hand somebody an idea and say, okay, now I want you to do this, and to watch them like transform. I think that's really fun. Either like when I was acting, I really loved to do that. And then as a director, I think it's even more fun and an educator to just watch people go from nervous into, okay, I'll try it, into, I think I can do it, into, oh my gosh, now they are a different person, kind of the way they are able to manipulate their body, their voice, and just really get into what it is they're trying to portray. I think that's really fun to watch and see develop.
Okay. One interesting thing. Like, I remember back in 2019, the play, there was a bit of alcohol there.
Yes.
So was that real alcohol or was it?
Of course it was not real alcohol. Oh. They were empty bottles that had pomegranate juice placed into them or iced tea.
Yeah, sure. Okay. I totally believe that story.
You should have smelled the rancid pomegranate juice when it actually stayed.
I was sitting in the back, that's why. That's why I didn't. But it looked real. Like, good job on that. You had the bottles, everything. That was impressive.
Thank you. The secret is iced. You take a hot tea, you don't make it full strength, and you add in a little bit of apple juice.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, and then water.
And it looks like bourbon.
It looks like some kind of brown spirit. Mm-hmm. And then in a wine bottle, if you put
grape juice
and pomegranate juice together, that usually works as well. And then you're set.
That's unfortunate. I really thought that they had alcohol in the middle of university.
Yeah, certainly not. That wouldn't be fair to ask students that possibly have their religious beliefs compromised. Yeah. That's bad on me as a teacher, but also as the director. You want your actors to be able to feel as comfortable as possible with what you're asking them to do. So if I were to violate their boundaries, their consent, their beliefs, then they no longer trust me to hold them in safe regards.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of my philosophy for how we approach things in drama club.
It was really good. I remember it we went with Alex, me, Ayub, Hassan, and worked with Alex. It was pretty fun times.
Cool.
Yeah. And I think I still have the tickets. Or Ayub does. I don't know. We might.
Shout out to Navon for designing those tickets.
Yeah, they were pretty cool.
She did
pretty
a good
cool
job.
Tickets, yeah.
Yeah.
So, one last thing before we start talking about Star Wars and movies.
It's a shame this is a podcast. You can't see my lightsaber tattoo.
Yeah,
as we're talking about Star Wars.
In one of the fingers. On the side.
For the record, it's the purple one.
Yeah.
Mace Windu's.
Exactly. So, back at your uni time, were there also clubs and... Yeah. And how would you compare the scene? I asked Lawan this, Lawan compared the scene from back in his own days and now. So if you can do back in the days here, now, and Maryland. And
so when I first got here, this is COVID related. So coming out of COVID, trying to get students to feel comfortable with clubs when at the same time, some of them are dealing with long-term health problems because they got COVID once or twice, or their family members did, or their scholarships are compromised because they're not set. The way they learn is not good for online learning, things like that. It's hard right now to get students back in the swing of feeling comfortable with club activities. So that is a little bit hard. I miss the fact that we used to have random concerts pop up. Music club used to just kind of step outside when the weather was nice and just start playing guitar every once in a while.
That's nice.
Yeah, that was
I'd
really
love
cool.
to see that, yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of miss stuff like that. I miss spontaneous feeling that we could have every once in a while where...
it doesn't have to be planned.
Yeah, you experienced this a little bit when you first got here, where you would just go and the ping pong table would be out.
Yeah.
But
we had a concert last semester as well.
Yeah.
We had a band and everything.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool, yeah.
Stuff like that's really fun. But, time, weather, it's making sure that we have appropriate and safe materials for you guys.
Yeah.
So that is a little bit different. We had more club sport activities when I first got here than we do now. So there were regular football games that you could go and see. There was always faculty-student matchups a lot. As somebody who used to play in them, I definitely miss those a little bit, but I'm also a good deal older now, and my knees hurt. So
no, you don't. Just your imagination.
The weird creaking sound was definitely not my kneecap popping.
That was the disc, please. Don't put it on yourself. So, and the club scene in Maryland, how was that?
That's going to be completely different just because of the size of the student body and the age of the school. Yeah. So the school had been established a lot longer. So, for instance, some of the clubs that I was really involved in were service clubs.
Yeah. What were those?
We used to, once a week, go into local elementary schools and provide them with tutoring support and adult mentors, basically.
That's nice.
Yeah, so students whose parents worked a lot and therefore they didn't have as much time with adults would give them a chance to have school time, but with someone they could have as a mentor. And that was really cool. Sometimes they came to campus and would work with us, and then sometimes we would go and visit them at their schools in their after-school program. And so that was really fun. We did a lot of homelessness awareness.
Yeah.
Because we were really close to Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a very large homeless population in D.C. So we did a lot of advocacy for people who are unhoused and mental health issues that came along with that. Either they were unhoused because they had mental health issues, or
they have mental illness.
They developed some kind of, stress reaction, trauma reaction due to their time without a home.
Yeah. And regarding movies and drama clubs, how was that back in the days?
Drama was different at my uni because it was a major.
Mm.
You can major in theater, you can major in film studies, you can major in media, kind of a deal.
I would love to see a major in drama here, and they put photos of the old drama club, the secret society at uni.
I know, that would be actually really cool.
Yeah, someday.
Inshallah. That would definitely be cool if we could do something similar to that.
Yeah.
But the way that my uni was cool is many universities that have a drama major do not allow non-majors or non-minors to participate in the performances.
Mm-hmm.
My school allowed you to do that, so I could be a psychology major, getting a theater minor, and still do the shows before I even declared that I was a minor. I was able to start participating in my first semester.
Yeah.
And very much like every other student that has ever had this happen, my grades dipped.
Yeah, grades aren't the most important thing at uni.
Yeah, definitely. Because, it wasn't the classes I was getting credit for and hadn't affected my GPA. It was clearly the play that kept me up until midnight every night.
The clubs, the podcasts, the usual.
That's the way it works. Yeah. So my parents were not exactly pleased about that, and there were a couple semesters where I was told no more theater this semester until you get your grades up.
My parents stopped caring. Not stopped caring, but shouldn't they stop being that strict at uni times?
This was also when I was transitioning into my new major.
Mm.
So I went in and I'm like, I'm going to be a doctor. And I was like, I'm going to fairly well scholarship. So as additional payment for no longer having a scholarship, my parents requested that I every once in a while would take a semester off from theater if it looked like my grades were in danger again, because they didn't want me back on academic probation.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So hey, scholarship students that maybe had a problem, right there with you.
Mortaja, we hear you. So, movies. Yeah. How did it start? First cinematic experience.
Snow White and Seven Dwarfs.
At the cinema?
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And did it hit you that moment that this is something out of this world?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
I remember the whole day. I remember the drive up. I still remember exactly what the theater was. It was called the Eric 8. Yeah. Because they only had 8 theaters that you could go see movies at. And
what was it called?
Eric 8.
Eric 8. In Maryland?
No, this was outside Philadelphia.
Okay, outside Philadelphia.
I don't even know if it exists anymore.
Yeah, of course, due to some superhero movies.
But I was either 3 or 4 years old when my parents took me to see that.
Yeah.
3 and a half, I think. Somewhere around there, because we hadn't moved into the city proper yet. We were still living out in the suburbs near my grandparents. So, yeah, it would have had to have been before my 4th birthday. And it was just the coolest thing ever, because it was this big revival where back in the day, before we all watched things online, completely legally.
The good old days, yeah.
Completely 100% legally watch things online.
Yeah.
Especially Disney, because you know how proprietary Disney is with their IP.
Yeah.
Would release things from the vault, it was called.
Yeah.
And they would hold onto their movies, and they wouldn't always be available for sale.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's coming out of the vault, and you would have access to either purchase that movie or possibly go see it in the cinema again.
Yeah.
And Snow White hadn't been re-released in a really long time, since that is their first full-length feature.
Yeah.
So it was some anniversary or something that year.
Yeah.
So yeah, here we are, mid-80s. Little me is like so excited.
Yeah,
because it's a full cartoon. And I used to watch cartoons all the time, like He-Man, She-Ra, Transformers, G.I. Joe. That was like my life.
Yeah. When
I was a little one. And so I got to sit with my mom and dad, and here's this popcorn that's the same size as me, and they're going to let me have soda. And this is the best day ever. And then all of a sudden, it goes dark, and and like
sounds, the music.
Yeah. And it was just such a powerful experience, obviously, since I was barely alive.
Yeah.
And I still remember all of that.
And like afterwards, so this is 3 years old, you, and how did it develop?
Star Wars was a big part of it, so it's funny that you brought that up.
Yeah.
My family, we're just movie people. We're film people.
Yeah.
Yeah, my uncle's only a couple years older than me.
Yeah.
So growing up,
let's talk about your uncle. Your uncle is a cool person.
He is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm pretty lucky.
Yeah.
Hopefully he won't listen to this.
I will send him a link indeed.
All right. Yeah. My uncle's only a couple years older than me. I am closer in age to him than anybody else in the family. Yeah. So he's more like a big brother to me. And when I was like in middle school, and he was in high school, and then going into his first years in college, he started doing the whole, have you seen this movie yet?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. Okay, well, you need to watch it. Yeah. And then every time we would see each other, have you watched it yet? Like, no. It's the 90s. I'm going to have access to just watch any movie anytime I want to. And so it was always like, all right, have you watched this yet? Have you watched this yet? I remember he bugged me for like 3 years before I finally watched Swingers.
Yeah.
That's the beginning of Jon Favreau's like career now.
Yeah.
He's a big deal. But yeah, like he just kept bugging me. That one, Rounders, that was what got me playing poker in college, was watching Rounders.
Poker indeed.
Yeah, I got really into like early Guy Ritchie movies because of him. But yeah, and he would challenge me to make sure I actually watched them. I wasn't just telling him like, yeah, I watched it. He'd be like, all right, cool. And then he would start like throwing quotes at me. Yeah. And if I couldn't quote back with him, he'd be like, you gotta go watch it again.
Like based on what I've seen, you better just like sit down with the person and make them watch the thing. Yeah, that's back in the day it was a big difficult.
Yeah, definitely.
But now you should definitely do that, because like you hear people about like just watch this all the time, but no one actually makes the effort to just sit down and watch things. So yeah, I think that's the realistic solution for nowadays.
Yeah.
Just sit down with whoever who you want to and just watch the goddamn thing. Yeah.
Well, the cool thing with that is then you're sharing the experience with somebody. If it brings you that much joy that you want somebody else to watch it, then you can really have that shared experience of laughter or tears or like shock together. And that's really fun. And the hard thing with Buzz was that he was at college. So as much as I looked up to him and as much as I wanted to, we couldn't always watch that stuff together. And then after he was done college, I was in high school. And so I was always busy as well. And then I went away to my college myself, and he was, doing grad school. And it was just this constant back and forth of when we could actually do stuff like that together. And it wasn't until we were both adults that we could regularly just be like, all right, cool, let's just sit down and watch a bunch of movies all day today.
Yeah, yeah, you can definitely do that today. Like, even if you had some distance between you, could still just do a watch party and throw something,
one of the cool things during lockdown were all the Twitter view-alongs and everything that would happen. Where you'd have people around the world commenting on the exact same show, starting it at the same moment. Like, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I might have done that a lot with Doctor Who.
That would have been nice. So, Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, you've seen not the original ones, or the original ones.
The first three.
You saw them in the cinema?
No.
Yeah, I know,
No. I didn't see them in the cinema when they were first released. I saw them when they did the stupid director's cut that switched the infamous Han Solo scene.
There are so many cuts, by the way.
I saw them with what was that? Early 2000s director's cut. Yeah, it was the early 2000s. It was the end of high school, beginning of college.
Yeah.
So yeah, when all y'all were little babies, that was the first time I got to see him in the theater. It was the George Lucas digital remaster, and that was when he went in and like CGI'd all the cool practical effects that he'd done. He just went and CGI'd over everything, and he changed the Han Solo Greedo scene. Boo. That was the first time I saw him in the theater, but I grew up watching those movies on TV.
Yeah. So, like, the first one you saw, like, was a remake of the
first
original?
I don't even remember. No, I don't even know. They were just always on.
Mm.
I knew the big reveal before I understood what the big reveal meant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been 30 years. I kind of feel like, it's been 40 years. I kind of feel like spoilers are a little bit over at this point.
Spoilers ahead.
Like,
people who hasn't watched Star Wars yet.
Yeah, I knew the whole Darth Vader thing before I knew the implications of what that Darth Vader moment. Like, how did it happen, yeah. Yeah, like, it was just something I always felt like I knew. I used to play with my uncle's figurines, and he used to try to take his Millennium Falcon away from me. He was like, no, you can't touch that. And yeah, so I used to have like my little green army men and Chewbacca having like little fights all the time.
Yeah.
So it was just always a part of my cultural consciousness and awareness, because all three of the movies were out by the time I was an alert human being.
Okay. Okay. And what do you think of the entire 9 movies and 70,000 spin-offs and 7 million comic books?
So, Mando is really good.
Yeah, Mando is really good.
I'm interested to see what happens with the next 2.
Obi-Wan?
Yeah, I'm really interested to see where we go with that.
Yeah, that seems in.
Well, Ewan McGregor's a really talented actor, so there's that.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, he's almost the same age as Alec McGuinness was
when he was
when he actually was being Obi-Wan. Yeah. So that'll be really cool to see how they deal with that transition. I used to be a bit of a Will actually on this stuff, and
what?
I used to be a little bit like gatekeepy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized I'm a grown-up, and that's messed up.
Yeah.
And like, who cares? It's all about having fun. It's not about, well, it has to be perfect canon and this and all that crap. It's not worth it. So I used to be really, really like, the original 3 are always the best, and the prequels are terrible. And then I realized, actually, Dr. Rachel Grusk is the one who pointed this out to me, because I was being gatekeepy. And she was just like, it's because we were little when we bonded with those. She was like, my cousins were little when the prequels came out, so they bonded with those movies. So I've noticed that's just an age difference thing. It's not a quality difference. It's an age difference about how old you were when those movies came out and what really you like emotionally resonated with.
Yeah.
As far as that. So I think it'll be interesting to see in 15 years what it's like for the people who are 5 when the last 3 came out. I think that could be really, really interesting to see like how they feel about those 3 movies compared to how you and I could talk about them.
Yeah. Okay, what else? Like, Star Wars is a big thing, obviously.
Yeah.
What else?
So I really enjoyed elements of the most recent 3. There were parts of it that I thought that were really, really, really well done.
Yeah.
I hate the fact that Disney bought them.
I mean, they are so big now that they can buy everyone.
Oh, yeah, I get that. It's not about the Disney ownership. It's about the forced timeline that comes out of that. Disney wanted them released on these days. Therefore, you had to have them released on those days. And it didn't matter if the writing was not in line. It didn't matter if Carrie Fisher died. This is when they were going to be released because Disney had a timeline.
Yeah.
Because they have so many different IPs to manage that You have to make sure that Marvel is not in competition
with Star Wars,
which is not in competition with Pixar, which is not in competition with like Disney animated films. So in order to manage all their IP financially, they have to hold to their deadlines.
Yeah.
The Marvel restructure that happened post-COVID because of just everything being shut down has waterfall effect on everything. It's not just the Marvel restructure. Then they had to make sure that everything else was restructured too. It was just lucky that all the Star Wars stuff is on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It's not in wide release right now. They're focusing on TV shows. So I feel like that was kind of a bummer because when J.J. Abrams took over for the third movie again, he was already writing a film that had no connection to what Rian Johnson wrote.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, I know people don't like the Rian Johnson one, but I thought Rian Johnson had really, really powerful commentary in that movie.
Roman Johnson is the second one, right?
Yeah, that was the second one.
Yeah. I like that one.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, same here. It was actually my first Star Wars movie that I've seen.
Really?
In the cinemas, yeah.
Yeah.
They had like cosplays and like it was a big thing. I had a tour at the cinema back then because I was going there a lot, so that was pretty nice.
That is super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that movie. I saw that here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
2018.
Yeah. So when we did I see that one here? No, I saw the first one here. So
Force Awakens, yeah.
In the third trilogy.
Yeah. The third trilogy.
Yeah. So I get the originals, the prequels, and the sequels.
Yeah.
So in the sequels, a really cool thing that we did was a lot of the AUIS faculty, staff, and some of the other members of the community that we were all friends with.
Yeah.
So just people from all over Sully. We rented out City Cinema together. We rented out a theater in City Cinema so we could cosplay and nerd out. And as a very large group of about 75 people at 10 in the morning, we got to go when the movie was first released. Exactly. So we're all like in our t-shirts. I had my like R2-D2 backpack. And, like, was that R2-D2 or was that Chewbacca? Yeah. I have my Millennium Falcon t-shirt and I have my like Galaxy shirt, like dress on. And, like we were all in different like levels of cosplay, and it was so much fun to just have that shared in a way that I never thought I was going to. And, we've got people from all kinds of different backgrounds, countries, ages, all sitting together excited about one thing.
Yeah.
That wasn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
It was just really cool to have
just emphasis on that.
Yeah. This really cool moment to just feel unbridled childhood joy.
Yeah.
Together as a very large group of people from so many different backgrounds. That was just so cool, and something I'm never going to forget about my life in Sully.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, I know. So, what else, cinema-wise? Like, besides Star Wars?
I'm really excited. I still haven't seen Everything Everywhere at Once. I'm looking forward to seeing that one.
Yeah?
Yeah. That's the new A24 movie. I think they're actually one of the most compelling studios that's out right now.
Yeah, they have, like, a good mixture between not fully indie movies that doesn't have like the budget for making impressive stuff, and movies that actually people watch.
Yeah,
that's a pretty nice combination of the two. Like they have produced most of like the good stuff lately.
Yeah,
yeah,
and like they're doing things that are fresh.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not here's a remake, here's a sequel, here's a reboot, here's an entire universe that's connected all together, and you have to like piece it together. Oh my god! I mean, I love my Marvel movies and all, but they're popcorn.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want steak.
Exactly. We need more steaks. Okay, I wanted to mention this before, like we wrap things here.
Yeah.
Marvel censorship and City Cinema. Marvel opinions.
I'm sorry, your call cannot be connected.
No connected indeed.
No. The censorship that gets done, it's up to the country to make that choice of what they do and don't show. When a studio makes the choice of what they do and don't show based off of which countries will censor them, I think that's crappy.
Yeah.
So that's on Marvel's side. Well. Yeah, that's again the Disney purchase, where you won't take those chances because you want to make sure that the Chinese market is actually going to buy your film.
Yeah.
So that was why it took so long for Black Panther to be made, because the inherent challenges of having a black-led film in certain European, certain Asian markets means that it's not worth the investment.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, it's not about the bottom line. It's supposed to be about the art. It's supposed to be about the fun of the film. And so that's the thing that gets me. It's not like, all right, so people can decide to censor what they will, and oh no, got like the Eternals, there's a gay couple. Whatever will we do? Like, cool. You don't want that in there? You can censor it. But it's on Marvel to still put that in there because it's part of the comic book. So if you're keeping the adaptation true, that's you're the movie studio. Why not?
Like the thing for me with like censorship in these countries, like whether it's Middle East or China or anything, like people are still going to watch the movie.
Yeah.
Like, don't be dumb about like there is the internet now. Like you can fully remove it from the universe.
What? The internet? What is that?
Yeah, like they are going to pay for it or watch it illegally anyway. So why not just have the money in your pocket? Like that's what I don't say. Like you are officially a business that's running for profit. Like you want, like I get why they do that. They want to prove a point that we don't want to be forced about like what we show or what we don't show on our screens. Like I get that, and I kind of get like the whole artistic view and like the Marvel aspect of things, but it has been like going like for the Eternals now with like Doctor Strange and everything. Like so many movies, like even the new Fantastic Beasts, like have been banned in some countries.
Yeah.
Like I don't like where's like the bottom on the list? Like where will it end?
A 45-minute version of Wolf of Wall Street.
Exactly. That's what we saw on BBC too.
No, it was. That's how long it was when it was released in the theater here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like people are going to see it.
And you can also just go to Bazaar and get the DVD.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I don't know. Like, I know the whole like proving a point thing, but I don't see like any good places that could end this.
So here's the thing to think about.
Yeah.
As a business owner, where's your responsibility to your community? If you show the safe version, and that person still wants to watch the unedited version, that's on the individual.
Yeah.
They can make that choice after the fact. What did I miss out? Let's go watch it.
Yeah.
If you unwittingly step into that and don't necessarily know what you're watching because you didn't realize you were going to the movies that day, or your friends and all were just going to go out in a group, and you got vetoed as far as the choice goes. If that is something that, you know, if a gratuitous nude scene, as The Wolf of Wall Street had,
did it?
is part of something that you object to, you don't feel compromised in that moment because you didn't necessarily consent to have that in your view, because you don't necessarily know when it's gonna pop up. So you can't just like go and be like, oh, I'm gonna go to the WC. Like, there is that to consider when we are living in a place where business owners need to cater to the entirety of their audience.
But like, shouldn't be like here's how I see it. Like they try to make the movies like appealing for everyone, and not appealing. Like they don't have as much age restrictions here as they should, and I think because like they want to sell more tickets. And not only that, because like also they want to accommodate our traditional fundamentals and norms and everything. But like with the movie, if you keep cutting, like leave like nudity and sex stuff. Like if you keep removing like the like homosexuality things, the religious things, like there was like American Sniper was banned in most countries.
As it should have been.
It's a good movie. Like
it's propaganda.
Yeah, I know, but movie-wise, it's a good movie.
I say that as somebody who's from the same town as Bradley Cooper. Propaganda.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I don't see it. The more I see it, like you are just going to give more attention to the movie.
Well, and that was one of the things that we had discussed in class when we were talking about censorship, is that all it really does, as we've seen over the years, is that then, you're right, it brings more attention to the thing you're trying to ban.
Yeah.
So there is that.
And you're not making any dime out of that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So I feel like that would actually be an interesting conversation to have with, I don't know, local business owners who have to make that choice.
Yeah.
I would love to hear their thoughts.
It's not banned here, like the Marvel stuff. They are not banned here.
No, that's not
It's only some Arabian countries.
And a lot of China as well.
Yeah. Okay, we have to wrap this, but we have to talk about City Cinema first. They are still closed. What the F? Doctor Strange. Want to see that? Like, do they really like? In what rationality they thought like closing the cinema when Doctor Strange is gonna be released? It's a good idea. And actually, we go there every once in a while. Like, we just want to see, and I don't see any big updates. It's all like they moved the cabins and like they have been closed since the middle of Ramadan, and now it's more than Eid. We want to see the movie.
Bring us the movie.
Yeah, just open it. We want to see it.
I haven't been inside a movie theater in a really long time. It would be nice to be in one.
Yeah. Favorite movie and favorite TV show before we wrap this.
Favorite Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And TV show.
Favorite TV show. That's one that always changes.
For now.
Today's favorite TV show of the day is what is it today? It might still be The Simpsons.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that one.
Not all the seasons of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
But the relevance of and the impact of The Simpsons was like undeniable, and I think it still is.
Yeah, because like you grow up with it. So,
yeah.
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 It's pretty cool.
Got made fun of because I wasn't allowed to watch it and everybody else was, so I used to sneak it.
As you should. See, censorship doesn't work.
There you go. Example proven.
Example proven. Okay. Thank you for being here. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you guys for having me. This has been fun.
Yeah, it has been fun. Okay. For everyone who's still listening to now, thank you for listening and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.